Hey everybody, welcome to the Successful Mind podcast, where in today's episode, David and I are going to be sharing a really cool client story and also talking about our God-given gifts, of which you have. Take a listen.
You're listening to the Successful Mind podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them.
We are Life is Now, and this is the Successful Mind podcast.
All right, Steph, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How about you?
Doing really well. We had an interesting morning a few days ago on our $1 Million Morning session. We have a relatively large group of individuals that we lead in amazing thoughts and ideas and preparing for the day every day. And in every morning, what I do is I give a thought for the day. And sometimes it's related to what I'm going to teach. Sometimes it's just something that it's kind of inspired me or I've heard or whatever.
And for context, David is mentioning our Elite Mind program.
Yes. Yes. The Elite Mind. It is one of the most amazing things we've ever done. But we'll get to that later. So I read this quote from 2 Timothy 1:6, stir up the God-given gifts inside you. And that was the teaching, right, that was going on. And you're getting basically DM'd during this because we're doing it on Zoom,
well,
right?
The whole time you're teaching, I mean, you do the MDMs, and I'm on every single one, so I'm listening to them, and I mean, they're lessons for me as well, and I'm answering private messages from our clients that are asking me questions when you're giving the teaching and that sort of thing. And a few days before, I had seen a post by one of our members by the name of Julie Dell Phillips. Julie's been a longtime client of ours. And she was celebrating. She was celebrating something publicly on social media. And as you were teaching, her celebration was coming to mind. And as the celebration was coming to mind, she was direct messaging me during your teaching to share the celebration with me to then pass on to you directly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you want to tell everybody what the celebration was?
Yeah, but I think the important part of this is actually the teaching, and the celebration was such a mirror. It was such a great representation of your teaching.
Yeah.
Because people don't stir up the God-given gifts inside of them. In fact, people don't even admit the God-given gifts inside of them in most cases, right? Let alone do everything that they possibly can to completely step into those God-given gifts.
Yeah. That morning and the night before, I had a real big hit on teaching this lesson. And for those of you that don't know me very well, I usually get a message, some kind of a download, within 24 hours before I'm going to teach something. And I shouldn't say usually, it's constant. It's been that way for 25 years. It's never let me down. Spirit always gives me the perfect thing to teach to an audience, whether I'm speaking to a live audience or we're doing it in our TEM group or $1 Million Mornings or whatever it is.
It's true.
So, but that night something started to come in, and I was thinking about how we have a God-given gift inside of us. And for most individuals, they don't recognize what it is, or they've never even been led or told that this is within them.
Well, and for most of them, it was shut down in childhood because it was embarrassing or triggered their parents, right?
Exactly. So I was thinking to myself, how exactly does that typically happen? Because I'm always kind of reverse engineering mindset, like where did this start? What were the situations or circumstances? And I was thinking about, when we're kids, we're not concerned with right or wrong, or are we embarrassing somebody or any of that kind of judgment. we just kind of follow whatever impulse is going on. So we'll have a tendency to just go with whatever it is that we're enjoying at the time. And being that we are a soul, we're led into things that we naturally enjoy. And if we end up making a wrong turn somewhere, it's usually because somebody stopped us from doing the thing that came natural to us. Like one of the things that I've said for years is that nothing in nature gets off course, right?
Yeah.
It knows what it is, it knows what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't question it. Human beings are the only form of life that seem to have this problem. And as a child is where it starts, like you just mentioned. This starts as a child. So a child starting to move into something that they enjoy. Also, kids are extremely inquisitive, right? They're constantly wanting to know things, right? Just fill that space in their mind. And they get one of two things. Either their parents go along with it and they're like, okay, this is cool. Let's see how we can, help this child, encourage whatever it is that they're doing, or they discourage them for whatever reason. And I thought, if a child was really encouraged from the moment that they started to step into the things that they really enjoyed, what a magnificent life that person would probably have if they developed all the things, the confidence and the discipline and all that stuff that needs to go with it. And so many people don't. So I was saying, as adults, it's not that gift is not there. It's that it's buried. Right? Or it was shut off and ignored. And I think for most adults, they don't even recognize that it was a gift to begin with. It was just something that they might have enjoyed when they were a child and they got moved on to the more serious aspects of life. And they weren't as concerned with, those childhood things. Right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was teaching about this because I thought it was extremely important. And I truly believe that as adults, we can tap back into that and follow whatever vision we get for that in our life. And Julie, who has been a client on and off of ours for 7 years now, right? Yeah. I remember, you remember too, when she came to us, she had this vision of being an actress.
It took a while for us to pull it out of her.
It was an interesting day that day.
I think, so this was back in 2016, guys, 2016. Okay. So that's 7 years ago. Almost, it was April 1st, 2016, because we went back and looked. And she was in a VIP day with us. So it was a private intensive and really looking at, what she wanted for her life. And I think at the time, if I remember correctly, and I have a pretty good memory with our clients, she was, part stay-at-home mom taking care of the kids. And also she's working for the school system in some capacity.
In Texas.
And she finally admitted that she wanted to be an actress and that she'd always dreamed of moving to Los Angeles and being an actress in LA. And you and I did what you and I always do. And we said, well, you've got to follow that desire. That desire is there for a reason. It's telling you. And I think she was a little surprised. And I don't want to speak for her. So Julie, if this is not how you're feeling, I apologize. But I think it was the first time that anyone had ever said to her, your dreams are worth following, right? Like if this is a desire and this has been a desire for a while, then you've got to see where this goes. And most people honestly would have looked at us and said, okay, yeah, sure. And they would have left and they would have not done it because it was too scary, right? To leave her husband and kids, not get a divorce, but leave her husband and kids, go and move to Los Angeles and begin to work as an actress, both in taking classes and also finding an agent. And she has been through so many ups and downs in the last 7 years, but she's kept at it. Most people would not have done that. Most people would have said, no, this is good enough. I'm going to stay here. They'll make some excuse like, I'll wait till the kids are grown and gone, or I'll wait till this, or I can't do this, or this is irresponsible. And you all know the number of excuses that you hear when you actually think about doing the thing that you actually want to do. Yeah. Right.
And there's a crazy statistic for Hollywood, like 1 million people a year go out there with this dream. And if you think about that many people versus the people that make it, the statistics are horrible for a chance of success if you're just paying attention to the statistic.
Yeah. And she she just kept the right mindset and she kept going. And the celebration, I get goosebumps and I get super emotional, even like talking about this. The big celebration was that a TV film series that she was in called Retrograde Los Angeles won a massive award in Berlin. And she was a finalist for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
Like she's our age, she's middle age. It's not like she's a, 21-year-old,
Right.
Like completely in the middle of her life, changed everything. And 7 years later, got a massive recognition for all of the work that she'd done leading up to that. It was just so reaffirming. And the lesson was so perfect for that. Now, on the flip side of that, now she's getting major producers reaching out to her because she's got, and her career is going to take off. I know it. And a big part of that is that she kept in the right mindset. And there were so many opportunities for her to quit. I feel like we missed an opportunity to not have her here on the podcast with us. So we might need to do that just for her to tell her story.
For sure.
But so many ups and downs she had to go through to get where she is right now. And she just kept at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, her husband's an attorney in Texas.
Yeah.
Right. And he had to stay in Texas while she goes. And then there was that, him going out to LA and her coming back, because of their relationship.
Long distance relationship.
But they still made this work, even regardless of that. So the dedication that it takes to do this and the persistence is absolutely astounding, especially today, where if somebody doesn't get something in 5 minutes from the time they desire it, they're complaining and moaning about,
like, forget it.
Exactly. It is a testament to, well, not just to Julie, but the principles that she practiced in order to make her dream come true. Right? Because there's so many things, it says, stir up the God-given gifts that are inside you, right? So those gifts that are inside of us, it doesn't mean that, once we recognize them, you're going to have all the benefits of those gifts instantaneously. You got to grow into those pieces. You have to learn. You have to mature. You have to have the ability to direct them in a way where they're productive in the life of wherever it is that they're going to be productive, because everybody's gift is different, right? And it's meant to be productive in the lives of other individuals, but it's like anything else. Not only recognizing it and stirring it up is just the first part, but then to make that decision to step into that. And like you said, at her age, in the situation that she was in life, most people would have talked themselves out of it before they even left the room.
100%. 100%. Those excuses would have been so strong and screaming in their ear that they would have stayed exactly where they were.
Yep.
And their dream would have passed them by.
All right.
Hi, this is David Nagel. Imagine if you were 100% accountable to yourself every single day, nonstop, no excuses. How different would your life be? How different would your business be? If you showed up fully committed to your goals, banished all excuses, and took action, followed through on your commitments, and did what needed to be done to create a life and business of your dreams. That's exactly what I'll be taking you through in the Elite Mind 90-Day Experience. I created the Elite Mind 90-Day Experience to help you develop an unshakable sense of confidence in yourself. In these 90 days, I'll be with you every step of the way, helping you become the person that you want to be so you can reach all of your goals. When you commit to showing up, doing what needs to be done, and sticking to a daily process that works, you automatically up-level all areas of your life. Something magical happens when you engage in this process for 90 days. You strengthen your commitment muscle by showing up and taking small, simple actions that add up over time. You develop trust in yourself and an internal knowing and sense of, I can do this no matter what the challenge is. You start seeing through your own BS due to your heightened awareness. You catch yourself more quickly when you find yourself making excuses. You start to build yourself into the person that you want to be. The best part about this is it works. I should know because I've used the same process for the past 3 decades to build my business, and now you can too. For more information on how you can join me in up-leveling your life and business, go to lifeisnowinc.com/elite. Again, that's lifeisnowinc.com/elite. Part of building an elite mindset is developing the habit and practice of consistently doing things that lead you in the right direction, never taking your foot off the gas, and no longer getting in your own way. Again, that's lifeisnowinc.com/elite. Up-level your life and join me in the Elite Mind 90-day experience. And now, back to the show. It's really an amazing thing. We really do need to have her on, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. Because I would love to ask her, like, tell us about this journey emotionally and what you were thinking, right? How much did she have to battle? What was going on in her head? Now, because of the contact that we have had with her partially throughout this time, one of the things that we know, and we know from other actors and actresses that we've worked with or talked to, was staying consistent when they don't get the part, when they don't get the role, mm-hmm. when they're going through a dry period, when nothing seems to be working, and continuing to move in that direction regardless, cultivating their craft, learning their skill, honing it, refining it. And then, also learning the business aspect of doing it, making yourself a product that's desired to be used for good, right, in these scenarios, and not wavering on your own fundamentals, your own values in this, right? Because this is a place for value conflict to come in and wreak havoc on a person's mind like crazy.
All over the place. Yeah. But I really think it speaks to her level of like persistence. And you're right. We talk to a lot of business owners where they try something once and they give it meaning and make it mean that they shouldn't do that thing again or ever. And they stop. They do. Rather than continuing to hone it, continuing to perfect it, craft it, make it better, learn from it, and continue on the path. And I just wonder how many people are out there listening to this podcast that know that they have a God-given gift inside of them that's not being stirred up.
Yeah. And how many, yeah. And what are they telling themselves about that gift? If you're listening to this and there's something that that you absolutely love and you're not doing it, you have to ask yourself why. Of course, I say that knowing that there's going to be all these different excuses that come to mind. I remember, Steph, one time I was sitting in a live seminar and I was listening to Proctor talk. And this was in the early days when I just first started learning from him. And there was a guy that said something about, he goes, I just love golf. He said, are you telling me that that's what I should do? And he said, that's what I'm telling you should do. If that's what you love, that's what you should do. He says, there's a million different ways to earn money out there. He said, you can learn to do that on the side and still do what you love if you can't make any money doing golf. And I remember sitting there listening to that, thinking to myself, that can't be right. Like there's something about that just can't be accurate. Now, I didn't know much at that point in time. But one of the things that I've learned, and you and I have both seen this with so many people, is the idea that they think that they can't make any kind of a living doing what it is that they actually love. Yet they've never even tried, nor have they searched out different kinds of ideas or objectives as far as which way should I go in order to be able to do that. And then we've seen them actually do it. once a person, once they get past those excuses, or you have a conversation with them and you're like, listen, you can go after this and you can do it. And they try. And then they're like, holy cow, look what happened. I made the calls. I asked for help. I got in a partnership. Whatever it is that they do, they get led from one thing to another, to another, to another.
So I see this happening in two different ways. So I see the people that come to us and they don't think that they can make money doing what they want to do, but you and I both know they can.
Right.
And we're like, no, you can. Like, there is a market, there is a need, and then we help them see how they can actually make money doing what they love. And then there's the people that come to us and they're denying themselves what they love, but they don't have a need to actually make money from it. But in the denying of themselves the thing that they love, it actually keeps their money-making ability down, because doing what you love puts you in a creative space.
Yes.
Right? Doing what you love puts you in a creative space where then you have ideas that then translate into the current business that you're in. And I think that's true for both you and I.
Oh, totally.
Like, you have amazing downloads and ideas when you're on a boat, when you're fishing, right?
Yep. I
have amazing ideas and downloads when I'm out traveling and camping. If we didn't give ourselves that space, we would, I feel like we wouldn't be as vibrant as human beings as we are, because we give ourselves the time and the space to do those things.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people, and actually I had a conversation with an attorney about 4 weeks ago, and I literally asked him, where are you in your life? He came to the call. He was all about business and his team and his wife and his kids. He was literally not spending 5 minutes a week doing something that he enjoyed doing.
He wasn't, you're saying.
He was not. And he was beginning to get resentful of his clients. He was beginning to get resentful of his family. He was beginning to get resentful of his life. He wasn't having any new marketing ideas. And I was like, yo, you have got to put yourself back in your life. You've got to, what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? Well, if I do that, then I'm taking time away from the family. And I was like, we need to talk. We need to restructure your life, because if you don't have that, everything turns gray.
Yeah.
Everything just turns gray. You need that. You need to be fed. And it's those things that you love to do that feed you, that then allow you to feed others.
How many people start their life in a direction and start filling it with responsibility and then never think to themselves, am I happy with any of this? Right? They're just looking at, okay, here's responsibility. Here's how I fulfill the responsibility, or here's how I live up to it. I know that I did that, and I got myself into a world of trouble.
It was about making everybody else happy.
It was making everybody else happy. And that was one of the biggest lessons of my life, was make myself happy, not make everybody else happy. But the idea of taking on tons of responsibility without knowing how I'm going to do anything with it, and then waking up one day and going, oh, I got a damn mess on my hands because of this. But then really kind of learning, leaning into or having a different mental attitude about everything that I was doing, I think points to what you're saying. Because you're either thinking how I can do this or how I can't do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. And if I'm thinking about how I can't, I'm putting myself on a vibrational or a frequency level of thought, and I'm going to attract all the thoughts that verify why I can't.
And all the experiences that verify why you can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I mean,
you mean like looking in the past, right?
That's all you're looking for. You're looking for all the reasons to verify that you can't.
Yeah.
But with Julie, she focused on how she could. How can we make this work? How can I do this? I mean, it's just extraordinary. It's just extraordinary.
It is. It's putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep walking forward. And the other thing is that this idea that we're supposed to be suffering, or that we're not supposed to be happy, or that we're supposed to put everybody else ahead of ourselves is such nonsense. One of the most important questions is to ask yourself is, are you happy? Are you happy?
I think that's a really tough question for people to answer, because you can't ignore the answer to that. And if you're not happy, then
But what do you do with it?
what do you do with it?
That's for sure.
And it's like, oh man, I'm not happy. What now? Well, now I got to make a change, and that's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to threaten those relationships or threaten my perceived sense of security.
Right.
But I think that's a great question to ask. Like, am I happy?
It's probably one of the most important questions you'll ever ask yourself. But you're right. It's because a person can't deny that internal answer. It's either a yes or a no. Either a yes or a no. And with a lot of people, when it's a no, it's like, well, now what? And you're looking at, I mean, the one thing that's important to recognize, even if it's not comfortable, is, okay, look, you set your life up in a way that you're not happy. Like if you take responsibility for that and you realize you're the one that created this, how could you create it in a way where you are happy? So what do you think? So let's say you're working with a client, Steph, and the client says, Steph, I'm just not happy. What would you say to them?
I would just say, tell me about that. So I would start digging. I would ask questions about what are the key indicators that they're using to measure their happiness. Are you not happy because you don't feel like you have freedom? Are you not happy because you don't feel like you're supported? Are you not happy because you haven't taken a vacation in 10 months? Are you not happy because things are rough at home? Are you not happy because you've got, a sick kid? Like, I would dig into, like, what are all the reasons that, like, you're feeling not happy? And that's where we start. So we start looking at what we can flip to create some happiness. Most of the time when I'm in a conversation with someone, a business owner, and I, they say I'm not happy. Sometimes it comes through as I'm not fulfilled, which is kind of the same thing as not happy. The reason is because they're not supported. Meaning they're the ones doing most of they shoulder all of the responsibility in their business. They shoulder all of the financial stress in the family. Like they've got a huge amount of weight on them, and it's taken its toll. And the solution to that is to help them see how they can start releasing some of those things to gain back some of their freedom and their space and who they really are. I mean, the guy that I talked to that I mentioned, he was so unhappy. He was like dreadfully unhappy. And I said, are you seeing a therapist? Is depression involved? And he's like, I probably am depressed. And I'm like, well, no wonder. Like, there's nothing that feeds you.
Yeah.
And that's another question too. Like, ask yourself, what feeds you? Like, what fills your batteries up? If you're a business owner, you're busy charging everybody else's batteries. You're charging your clients and your customers' batteries. You're charging your team's batteries. You're the one that's holding everything together. But what actually charges your batteries is a really important question to ask.
Right. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing left. Do you think it's important? So let's say you have a person, they're in this situation, and you ask them, or let's see, how would you ask this question? Is it important for them to focus in on anything that makes them happy, or do they need to find something specific?
Well, I would start with tolerations, like we do with our private clients. Tolerations uncover.
Like, what are you tolerating?
Pretty much everything. What are you tolerating?
What are you tolerating?
'Cause tolerations just lead to unhappiness, right?
Yeah.
So what are you tolerating in your life? Let's start working on those first and see that, just watch the change that begins to happen when people stop tolerating the things in their life that they're currently tolerating. Because they're tolerating them because they have some kind of limiting belief. They're tolerating them because that's what they feel like they deserve. And so you've got to stop tolerating that to begin to really have some positive impact in your life. Julie was tolerating not living her dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And tolerations are backed by a whole host of excuses that are basically rationalizations of beliefs that why we think we can't do something. We just keep telling ourselves that lie over and over again. Right. Yeah, for sure.
So stir the God-given right. Stir the God-given gifts inside you. Ask yourself if you're happy. Ask yourself what recharges you, what fills you up. And then take a look at those tolerations, and let's be happy business owners. You don't have to be a miserable business owner full of all sacrifice and no fun. Like, the idea is to live a happy life that feels fulfilling.
Yeah.
So let's get you on your way to that.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, David Nagel here. Thank you for listening to Stir Up the God-Given Gifts Within Inside You. Every one of you has a gift. Ask yourself, what makes you happy in your life? Ask yourself if you are happy, and then listen to the answer.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind Podcast. If you like what you've heard and you want to know more, go to lifeisnowinc.com.